left, copy, backside, march, left, 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 right, left, left, copy, halt.
Went too far. Out. Face. Turn about.
About, face. Forward, march, left, 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 right, left, left, copy, march, march, march. Right, face.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We're delighted to welcome each and every one of you here. We have an incredible program planned for you all, and we're delighted that you've chosen to share it with us on this beautiful Veterans Day here in the year 2024. My name is Scott Murray, and I'm delighted to be back to serve as your Master of Ceremonies for today's 11th hour ceremony. I'd like to, at this time, introduce to you the General Chairman of our Dallas Veterans Day Foundation and the parade itself. Delighted to welcome, and I want you to put your hands together and thank him indeed for his service, General Al Zapata.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being with us. Please take your seats. Thank you. What a great day. It's been 4 years that we have not had a parade in Dallas saluting our great veterans. 2 years of COVID and 2 years of rain, but here we are, and I want to thank all of you that came out. This is a labor of love for many of us, and you're going to have a chance to see the future of our country with all our young high school ROTC and many other of the young people that serve our great country. Today, we are celebrating 50 years of the all-volunteer force. It's in your program, and the programs are available for all of you, so please take one home. If not, you should be able to pick it up right behind where the displays are. More importantly, you're going to hear from two of our leaders, one from our elected congressional delegation from here from Texas, and you're going to hear from Lieutenant General John Campbell, who has an esteemed career, who will be also our keynote. But you're also going to see our Grand Marshal, who is president of Parker University, Dr. Bill Morgan. So at this time, Scott, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir, very much. And again, General Zapata, thank you for all you do for us and for certainly your incredible service in our military. This young lady to my right is Christella McIvor, and she's here to help with she does all kinds of things with our military behind the scenes as a volunteer. And I said, I don't have a hat today, and it is sunny, and I can't even see my notes with all that's going on because of the beautiful day we have here. So please bear with us, but she's going to be my official umbrella holder. And let's turn this around. I noticed that this umbrella that I found in my car happens to be from the Armed Forces Bowl that takes place in Fort Worth each and every year. So I guess it kind of plays to the whole ceremony of what we're a part of for today. So that said and done, we welcome you all again to the Greater Dallas Veterans Day Parade and our 11th hour ceremony here at the beautiful Dallas Fair Park this year. This is the day we honor the veterans of many wars fought for humanity. And every year our parade honors all veterans of our armed forces. Now our theme for today's parade is celebrating the 50th anniversary of the All-Volunteer Force, Armistice Day, as it was formerly called, now known as Veterans Day. The Treaty of Versailles, signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in the year 1918, signaled the end of World War I, the war to end all wars. And today our soldiers, our Marines, our sailors, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen continue to be deployed in dangerous and unstable regions all around the world to protect each and every one of us and this great country that we all call home. To begin our 11th hour ceremony, we will first have a mastering of the colors, so I'm going to ask you all to please rise while the flags are marching in. They have arrived, the national colors being carried by a color guard from Dallas ISD Woodrow Wilson High School. And today's mastering of colors consists of 100 United States flags carried by cadets from Samuel High School and Woodrow Wilson High School. All veterans, active duty military, and law enforcement personnel are requested to render a hand salute upon the color guard's command to present arms. The color guard commander will now execute order arms. We ask you to remain standing as we invite at this time Captain Jamie Malikoff, U.S. Army, to give our invocation this morning.
Let us pray. God of all creation, we thank you for your many blessings, including the blessing of living in this great country. We ask that you would be in our midst on this special day as we honor all who have served our nation in uniform. May we always remember that liberty and freedom require resolve, and may you continue to inspire in the free citizens of this great nation to serve her so selflessly. We ask that your loving hand be upon each of our servicemen and women, both past and present, and upon their family members who likewise give of themselves for all of us. All glory and honor to your holy name, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Jamie. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing during the singing of the national anthem. The national anthem will be sung by Master Sergeant Erica Stevens, Texas Air National Guard. So let us join her as she leads us all in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please be seated if you are standing. We're going to ask you to direct your attention to the front of the reviewing stand as the chairman of the 2024 Dallas Veterans Day Parade, Major General Albert Zapata and Lieutenant General John Campbell, assisted by U.S. Marine Corps Master Sergeant Bernard Miller, place the ceremonial wreath for today's commemorative ceremony.
Left, right, left, go left, left,
Also with us today, Andrew Cummings with the South African Military Veterans Organization to also share a wreath for all who have passed serving our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, at the time that we play taps at events like this, it is always appropriate that we remember and pay tribute to 4 great Dallas veteran parade committee members who have passed away this past year. They were Colonel Ken Cordier, Colonel Stoney Green, Captain Rolai Stevens, and Staff Sergeant Mario Gutierrez. May we never forget their great service and what incredible men they were of our incredible military. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming up momentarily, just about, well, less than a minute away, I'm going to ask you to look that way, because coming to the sky, following taps, the northeast area, you're going to be able to see a flight of T-38s from Shepherd Air Force Base, who will perform the missing man formation. They will be led by Trevor Aldridge, United States Air Force. He is also a board member of the Tribute to Valor Foundation, an American Airlines pilot, and committed to making a difference in the lives of those that need it most. We're sharing all this incredible, incredible population here in this great country known as the US of A, as I said, with the United States Air Force. So bear with me, less than 30 seconds away. T-38s from Shepherd Air Force Base. Here, a part of our Veterans Day ceremony this morning, performing the missing man formation. There they are.
I got a video about it.
What'd you think of that, huh?
Yeah.
Doesn't get much better than that. We thank them all, the T-38s from Shepherd Air Force Base. Now we're going to ask the color guard to retire the colors. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't put our hands together for all the members of the military that were here on the pavement and our color guard for their service and a job well done. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you behind me here at the podium, if you'd like to sit down now, you can. Although I am going to ask them to stand individually here as we move on, I'd like to introduce to you our honored guests. To my right, please stand as I call your name. Our keynote speaker, Lieutenant General John Campbell, and please remain standing. We'll give them one well-deserved collective round of applause when all are standing. Congressman Keith Self, U.S. Congressman from Texas District 3, the chairman of the 2024 Dallas Veterans Day Parade, Major General Albert Zapata. Give it up for them. And now, to my right in the back row, Captain Jamie Malikoff, U.S. Army. Senior Master Sergeant Erica Stevens, U.S. Air Force. Colonel George H. Walker, United States Army. Colonel William Dwiggins, United States Marine Corps. Rear Admiral Doug Woody Beale, United States Navy, retired. Colonel Joe Cordina, United States Air Force, retired. Captain Nick Harper, United States Coast Guard, Auxiliary, retired. Commander Jenny L. Matson, U.S. Navy, representing the United States Merchant Marines. Let's put your hands together and give them a well-deserved round of applause for their service and their great commitment. All right, please be seated all. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here again and for all you continue to do day in and day out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to recognize our Greater Dallas Veterans Foundation and Committee and just make you aware of the fact who these people are and why we all gather here in Fair Park today. Members of the Greater Dallas Veterans Foundation Committee, Chairman Albert Zapata, Brigadier General Larry Pattison, Colonel Joe Cordina, Lieutenant Colonel King Moss, Ms. Tracy Fisher, Lieutenant David Iverson, Command Sergeant Major Lonnie Clark, Captain Floyd McClendon, Pat Typo, Donna Plunk, Gina, and most proud to be a part of it, yours truly, Scott Murray. Let's give them all a well-deserved round of applause. We would also like to give special recognition today to our distinguished Dallas Council city members and thank them all for their generous support of this Veterans Day Parade here in 2024. Would you all please rise at this time? Don't be bashful now. Well, they're here someplace, I assure you. Let's put our hands together and give it up for them all. And also our special guests include representatives of our corporate sponsors. They are Wells Fargo, Dallas Southwest Osteopathic Incorporated, TXU Energy, USAA, and Toyota Motor Company. We thank them all as well. Let's put it up and give it up for them. And we also would like to give, well, I guess best put special recognition, certainly, to the Gold Star mothers and the parents with us today. Will all of the Gold Star mothers and parents please stand at this time? Let's really give it up for them all. And all of the Gold Star families, please know that you remain in our thoughts and prayers every single day. And lastly, I would also like to ask those who served in our military forces in whatever way it might have been, please stand and be recognized. We thank you all for your incredible service. We've got a few up here in the stage area, huh? And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, I'm most proud this morning to announce the creation of a brand new award. It's called the Greater Dallas Veterans Foundation Patriot Award. Now you say, Scott, what might that be? Well, this award is going to be presented annually to an individual or organization that have had a positive impact and assisted our military in all that it stands for in so many ways. Our inaugural Patriot Award is being presented to our longtime friend and supporter, Al Bernay. That's right, the owner of Al Bernay's Restaurant, the award-winning restaurant right here in Dallas. For decades, he has hosted the parade members of the military and the Greater Dallas Veterans Foundation for a post-parade luncheon and celebration. He's done it, as I said, for decades. Unfortunately, and many of you might be aware of this, Al could not be with us here today because he is battling the disease ALS. but we certainly keep him in our thoughts and certainly our daily prayers, and thank him for his continued service to our military and the Greater Dallas Veterans Foundation. Let's put our hands together and congratulate Al. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I am most pleased to welcome our next speaker, a great friend of the military and a great friend to the Veterans Foundation. I mean, he just is there whenever you need him, so we can't thank him enough for being a part of this special parade here on this sunny day here on December 7th, and December. Where am I getting to? November. I got Pearl Harbor and Veterans Day mixed up. Not December 7th. That one's coming up next month, folks. We're talking about November 11th, and I'm talking about Veterans Day. Let's put our hands together from District 3, Collin County, Congressman Keith Self.
Well, welcome, veterans. I spent 25 years in the military, and I was down at the recruiting center just a couple of weeks ago giving the oath to 29 young men and women who raised their hands and took the oath that all of us have taken and continue to hold dear. But you know what I recognized of those 29 young men and women? They were young. When you look around, you see up here some white hair, bald heads. Our stomachs are not as flat as they were. But I don't care who you are, you probably joined the military and took that same oath when you were young. Whether you were a truck driver, or you were an aircraft mechanic, or like me, you like to jump out of airplanes, or if you were on a ship in the Pacific or the Atlantic, or you were a coastie somewhere, I don't care what you did, it was one team, one fight. That's more than a slogan. And I will tell you what's important to me, and I'm going to close with this because you really want to hear General Campbell. But I was at one of my small towns out in Hunt County on Friday at their Veterans Day ceremony, and they had a breakfast for the veterans. So I went around and introduced myself to the veterans. A man was there, he was a Vietnam veteran. He was there with his family. We had a cordial conversation, but there was no spark. So they introduced me simply as Congressman Self. I spoke, and after I spoke, I talked about my military career a little bit, and after I spoke, after the event was over, he and his whole family came up to see me, and they were just so excited because they said, "We didn't know you were a veteran. We thought you were just a congressman." And I have to tell you, that warmed my heart, because that's what I think. Every veteran in the crowd, every veteran that sits up here with me, this is where they came up with the phrase band of brothers, and now band of brothers and sisters, because that's what we are. So thank you for your service. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And I thank every veteran in the audience for your service, for keeping that oath that those young people that I swore just a few weeks ago, they will keep. Because evil continues to stalk our world, and our military will continue to defend America under that oath as we have had for 250 years almost. Thank you so much. Have a great Veterans Day and enjoy the parade.
Thank you, Congressman. Delighted to have you here as always. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you our keynote speaker. Please welcome Colonel Joe Cordina.
Ladies and gentlemen, indeed it is a pleasure to be here today to make an introduction of one of the finest Air Force officers I've ever known. Lieutenant General John Campbell retired from the United States Air Force in 2003. He served 32 years. During the course of that time, he served our nation as a fighter pilot, as a commander, and staff officer. In his last military assignments, he served as a commander of F-16 and F-15 aircraft. Those are fighter wings. That's tough duty, folks. He was also serving as the Deputy Director of Operations, Joint Staff at the Pentagon. and beyond that, he also was affiliated with the CIA. I can't go into any more detail than that. General Campbell is an active member of the Air Force Air and Space Forces Association. It's become the Air and Space Forces Association just over the course of the last 2 years. He has spent a great deal of his time on numerous boards and councils and is a resident of McKinney. He lives right here. He and his wife Markie have 3 children and 5 grandchildren and are members of the First United Methodist Church of McKinney. He's also a recipient of numerous military and intelligent community awards, which includes, just to name a few, the Defense Distinguished Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, the Airman, and the CIA Distinguished Service Award. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my pleasure, indeed a pleasure, to introduce Lieutenant General John Campbell.
Joe, thanks for the great introduction, and it's really great to see the crowd here. As General Zaponte said, we went through about 3 or 4 really bad weather years down in Dallas, and so we couldn't have not done better here, so good work on the weather, Al. To the parade committee for putting this together, congratulations. I think we know how tough that was to change the venue, change all your process. And frankly, I think this is a great venue, probably better than downtown. It's always an honor to share the stage with Congressman Self, he's, by the way, he's double booked today. He's off to do his own award ceremony in just an hour, so he told me he had to leave. You probably know he was just reelected to a second term. I love to be around Keith because when he speaks, you know it's from the heart. That's who he is. So the theme of our parade today is the 50th anniversary of the All-Volunteer Force. AVF is one of the most important institutes in our military today. It originated in July of 1973 from the national debate over conscription that peaked after the end of the war in Vietnam. And for 51 years, it has produced a military that is by any measure the world's best. The birth of the All-Volunteer Force is sandwiched in between 2 other dates that we ought to remember. The first is January 1973, which marked the signing of the Paris Peace Accords, which marked the end of U.S. participation in the war in Vietnam and resulted in the repatriation of our POWs and the return of our forces. The second date is April 30th, 1975, which is the formal end of the war and the evacuation of Saigon. Some of you may remember that last March we commemorated the 50th anniversary of the first event, the Paris Peace Accords, in a ceremony at the Frontiers of Flight Museum, where over 500 veterans from the Vietnam era attended and were honored. And in April, we're going to commemorate the second event, the end of the war, in an event in Arlington in company with many of the Vietnamese community. And they were careful not to call those celebrations commemoration because that's a sad day for the Vietnamese community because that was the end of their country as they knew it. When we remember Vietnam, it's important to remember that while the political and military leadership of the war is still debated today, the bravery and sacrifice of the men and women who fought there was never in question. Their country came, and they called, and they came and did their duty. Unfortunately, when they returned, they were often met by best indifference and in worst hostility. The major theme of our January event was to recognize the sacrifice of our Vietnam veterans and to say to them the 2 things that are common today when our men and women return from overseas, but were rarely said 50 years ago, and they are, thanks for your service and welcome home. So I'm going to keep my remarks brief today, but I'm going to ask you to do a few things in the weeks to come, but the first one is right now. If you're a Vietnam veteran out there, would you hold your hand up? Okay, I see quite a few. So look around. Look around, see these people who gave so much for our country, and if you can today, before you leave, find them out, shake their hand, and say thanks for your service and welcome home. And if you know a Vietnam veteran, If you have a friend or a neighbor who served, seek them out this week. Call them up, go see them, shake their hand, and say thanks for your service and welcome home. So this year is actually the 51st anniversary of the All-Volunteer Force, which we established to replace conscription at the end of the war. In any measure, it's been successful, producing a superb military that served through the waning days of the Cold War, the short, high-intensity conflict of Desert Storm, and the prolonged low-intensity wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. While the emphasis is now shifting back to global peer competition and the growing possibility of major regional conflicts, there is no reason to think that the All-Volunteer Force will not continue to perform superbly from a military perspective. There are, however, storm clouds on the horizon. It has become more difficult to recruit the numbers of young men and women required to sustain our military. In 2023, the Army, Navy, and Air Force all failed to meet their recruiting goals, and that was a wake-up call for the services. While 2024 has been much better and all the services met their goals, every senior leader I have heard speak about the subject says, yeah, this was a good year, but this is not a short-term problem. In the future, goals will go up, and the societal trends which affect recruiting are in the wrong direction. Of most concern to me is only 9% today of the qualified individuals to serve. And by the way, when I say qualified, only 23% of the men and women of service age are even qualified to serve. Of those, only 9% have ever thought about serving in the military. Most of them know nothing about the military, and what they do know is colored by incorrect and distorted information gathered from social media and mass media accounts which emphasize the negative aspects. Most have never met anyone who served and have little concept of what we do or why it's important. And by the way, it also applies not just to the Gen Z generation, but also to many of the people who influence them: parents, teachers, coaches, and neighbors. One of the byproducts of the all-volunteer force is that it's become more professionalized with an increasingly small and instant cadre of men and women who have served. Today, we have a growing divide between those who serve our country and the rest of the population. For much of America today, military service is something done by someone else. People will never know and never be. And that's why public ceremonies like this one and all the others that are going on today are so important. I spent the last 2 years, and I'm still involved in it, studying the recruiting problem and working with the Air Force Recruiting Service. And I'm optimistic that we'll be able to sustain the all-volunteer force for the near term. But this is not just a recruiting problem. It's a symptom of a larger problem, the symptoms of which include the gradual decline in patriotism, division in our society, the loss of faith in the basic institutions of our government, distrust of our political leaders, and most of all, a diminishing concept that national service is a duty of citizenship. And service truly is a duty of citizenship. And by the way, that includes not only our military, but the men and women who enforce our laws and are our guardians, and the first responders who come when we are in danger and put themselves at risk to save us. So every good speech has a call to action, and here it is. If you're a veteran, tell your story. Look for opportunities to tell the story of what influenced you, what you learned from service, and why service is important, and why citizens should serve our country. One of the common themes that I hear when I talk to young people and older people is how often their decisions in life are the result of one conversation, one encounter, one experience, or one mentor who points them in the right direction. As one of our senior officials said a while ago, military service is something that our young people want and would thrive in, they just don't know it. We have recruiters to tell that story, and we don't have to be recruiters, we can just be citizen advocates who inspire service. But this is a tactical solution for a near-term problem. The bigger problem we face is strategic and goes to the kind of America that we envision for the future. Let's look out 25 years in the future to 2049 and ask ourselves how we see America. Do we want to maintain the role we've had since World War II as a global leader of the bloc of free and democratic nations, a country which defends our values around the world, supports our friends and allies, and maintains a military capable of that task? Or do we decide we no longer want to be the world's policeman? We want to cede regional sovereignty to others while we avoid global alliances and entanglements and turn our attention and efforts inward. Since the end of World War II, the cornerstone of our defense policy has been deterrence, convincing our adversaries it is better not to fight because the alternative is unacceptable. In general, that's worked because we've avoided another world war, but it's important to remember that deterrence has two components. First, we have the military capability to impose unacceptable damage on our adversaries if required, and second, we have the national will to use that capability, or more properly, the adversary's assessment of our national will. So we clearly have the capability today with a military that is still the preeminent force in the world, but our conventional forces are slowly becoming smaller and less ready, especially in relation to those of our adversaries, and it's no secret to our adversaries that they believe the time is on their side. More to the point, what do our adversaries conclude about our national will? Do they see a nation that's strong and united and willing to lead, or one that is weak and fractured whose time is coming to an end? That's a key question we need to discuss, because in 25 years, in 2049, China's goal is to be the preeminent economic and military power in the world. And 25 years seems like a long time, but it took 25 years to get the F-35 fighter from the drawing board to the flight line, and that's just enough time to build 2 aircraft carriers. So if the answer is that we want to be relevant in the world of 2049, the time to start preparing is right now. 2049 is also the time frame when the young men and women who make up the all-volunteer force of today will start to take leadership positions across our nation, and we owe them a reasoned debate and discussion about the kind of nation they will inherit. Regardless of our decision, we need to remember that our society is not a winner-take-all zero-sum game. Compromise and respect are foundational elements in both our politics and our society. Those who have different opinions are not our enemies, but rather our neighbors who deserve the respect we wish to have from them. So, Al, thank you for inviting me. Thank all of you all for coming out. I wish you the best in this interesting year to come, and salute you for carrying on this fine and important tradition. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thanks, my friend. General Campbell, well done, not only for your service, but all that you continue to do every single day for our military. Involved with so many groups, you have no idea. He's above and beyond, so we thank the General. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to that time of the program. It's time for the parade. Are you ready? That's right, the 2024 Dallas Veterans Day Parade honoring the veterans of the Gulf, okay? So thank you for being so attentive and so committed to what we're all about here today. Leading the parade is going to be Yvonne Ewell, Townview High School Band, and following the band is our Grand Marshal, Mr. William Morgan. Now you say, wait a minute, I know that name, Scott. Who is that? Well, he happens to be the president of Parker University, a great supporter and healthcare provider for veterans. And by the way, I might make you aware of the fact Mr. Morgan also is a veteran. So they're going to be dismounting their vehicles and moving to the reviewing stand. But in the meantime, I have been told that I'm going to be doing the play-by-play of the parade this morning. How about that? Yeah. You found out just about the same time I did. Yep. So we're most excited, and that's why I've got my sidekick here to help us. Didn't she do a great job? Thank you, my friend. We'll officially introduce her when we get over here, but in the meantime, give us about 30 seconds to get over here. The parade will be underway. Let me simply say one thing to you all. Bring a friend next year for year 2025. The difference you make in the very fact that you chose to be a part of this morning here at Fairport speaks volumes, because it's about our military, those that defend and protect us every single day all over the world. So thank them for their service and thank them for being who they are. Thanks for being here. Have a great day and enjoy the parade, everybody.